On today's episode, we're answering the question, no, we're not, because I'm on the wrong damn outline.
Yeah, it's proven. We've done the tests, you and I, and the more you engage those speakers, the more they'll engage the registrants. And it's a win-win situation for them and you. Like, you might ask the question, why would my speakers want to be engaged? Well, if they're engaged, they get to connect with the registrants more, which will get them more registrations to their freebie, which will get more eyes on their thing, which helps them. If everybody just comes into a summit, and this is my one, I'm going to get on my soapbox once and then I'll get off, I promise. If everybody's goal, and Allison knows I'm not, that never happens. If everybody's goal on a summit is just to show up and build their lists, and that's the only thing, then you all are doing it for the wrong reasons. And you have to create community, and you have to engage, and you have to create a sense that people are there for a reason, or nobody, it's gonna go flat. Like, it's gonna be like you're standing on, it's open mic night and you're standing there and nobody's laughing. It's really bad. That's all I'll say. I'm off my soapbox. Thank you all.
You'll get back on it later, I'm sure.
Shush up.
The other thing that I really like to do is make sure that I know how my audience is going to get the information they need to show up where I want them to be. I love to have a pop-up Facebook group for my events, and my audience is encouraged to join that. But in order to do that, I have to tell them via email. I need to tell them on the confirmation page. I need to tell them to join the Facebook group, because that's where the engagement's going to happen. That's where it becomes a two-way conversation instead of me emailing them, or me being on a video to them, or me hoping that the words on the page are resonating. Your goal is to make it a two-way conversation. What you do with that two-way conversation, well, that's where we get to have some fun. And this is where you get to make it yours.
Yeah. If I've always said this, if you're a yogi and you want to do sunrise yoga or early morning meditation before your speaker sessions come out, do it. We did that with a summit. It was fabulous. So many people showed up for this early morning sort of like sunrise yoga experience. It was awesome. If you want to insert yourself in terms of your personality into your event, this is where you can do it. So things that are going to help. And by the way, the more you insert your own personality into the event and make it your own, the more niched in it becomes, and the more you'll attract your ideal potential client, or somebody's going to purchase your product. So how to make it your own? There's no fast and ready rule on it, but you can add things in that make sense. I love personally adding live panels. I love being the master of ceremonies. It gives me happiness. It creates joy that I can get up in front of a group of people and I can stimulate a conversation to happen and ask pertinent questions. And live panels with your speakers is like you being, on The View, and you're the host and everybody else is on your panel and you're asking questions and things like that. Not everybody loves it, but every client that I do it with sees the benefit of it. I know you do.
They stress me out, but I do them because they work. So
when you do them, you're like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah, I'm lying. No, it is fun once I get into it, but the lead up stresses me out.
I know.
But that's like the one concession that I make as far as making my stuff my own, because it is like what works. So I do it, and I grumble the whole time, but I do it.
You complain the whole time. Some of these things, by the way, will pull you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But they're really important. Like Allison and I are pretty much both the same in terms of like, we're a little bit of a homebody. We like our creature comforts. If we could show up in a t-shirt and a messy bun, we would. Like those types of things, right? That's just kind of our personalities. we're both
Yeah.
rocking t-shirts, and you've got the messy bun and I've got like just like the hair out of the shower kind of thing going on, but we're all good. And it's a makeup free day. But
so makeup free.
If we could show up to our panels like that, we'd be super happy, but we can't. And I think the point that I was trying to make, which I slightly forgot before I tangented a little bit, was that adding these things to your list of things that you do adds to the event, and it helps create that secret sauce.
Well, yeah, it turns it from here's a collection of pre-recorded videos into something that people want to show up for because there's a live element. And that is the difference. Because otherwise it's a collection of pre-recorded videos.
And there's no FOMO there.
There's no FOMO. That's right. So it creates those elements that they can't get with just those videos. That's why the videos and the automations and the pages are not, what do you call it? The special sauce, the secret sauce, whatever. The saucy part of your event.
We'll use sauce, whatever, the sauce.
Just make your event saucy. So there are a lot of other things that I've seen people do, some of which work, some of which are not worth the time or financial investment.
You mean like virtual speaker booths?
Virtual speaker booths or, special platforms. I don't find those to be worth the investment for a summit that isn't anticipated to get under 10 to 20,000 people. I mean, it's just not that kind of, if you're trying to create the community, create the real personal community, not the overly produced community. That's my personal,
I agree with you,
expert opinion.
Well, we were both on a summit, I think it was 2 years ago, where the host had a DJ. And your memory will kick in, I know. Yeah, so there was a DJ, remember? And every live session had a DJ on it, and it was like, there was like umcho music happening, right? Just to kick off these things. And they paid for a freaking DJ. That's an expense you can go without. It didn't really, I mean, it was fun.
It didn't add to it.
But it sure as heck didn't translate into VIP sales.
Right.
Because it doesn't translate, right? So anyways, so live panels of speakers, I think, is a great idea. Q&A sessions can be a lot of fun, especially if you have your topic is something where people are trying to solve a big P problem and they've got a lot of things to talk about, right? So they're like, well, how do I do this? But, what's the next step? And what do I do next? And what do you think of this? And those types of Q&A sessions can be really, really fun to do. I like them. They can be added in at any point when the summit is technically live during those 3 or 4 or 5 days. Q&A sessions can be really, really cool. You can, by the way, also use you can use that as peppering techniques for your program, product, or service. So you can use that as a sales opportunity as well.
I really like the strategies that get your people to talk to you. And this is going to kind of go to copy, but the more you can get your people to talk to you, the more you can understand them, even if it doesn't feel like they're answering relevant questions. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing for my upcoming event is testing out lighthearted engagement, where it's going to be gamified. So there's going to be a prize offered. I haven't figured out exactly what that prize is yet. I probably should get on that. But if you answer these questions, you'll get entered to win. And every answer is an entry, like that kind of thing. So I'm incentivizing the engagement. But what I really want is their answers.
Yeah,
and so some of the questions are going to be lighthearted, right? Beach or mountains, right? That kind of thing. But that also gives me insight, because you can make conclusions based on what they choose, right? And maybe I say beach or mountains, and why? Well, I want to be on the beach because I really value XYZ. Well, now I'm getting values from my people, right? So you see how I'm collecting data while I'm engaging them. This is my hypothesis. I will report back, because that is what I really want to have happen. But think about how you can get your people to talk to you. Remember, it's that two-way conversation. How can you encourage that? Icebreakers, networking opportunities, if your audience is appropriate for it, especially if your summit is for other business owners. What kind of stuff? Even like, hey, help me build the buzz, refer a friend, bring a buddy in. What can you do to help encourage your people to get involved in the community?
I agree 100%. The way that can be used to the dark side is creating too much of it so that people feel overcommitted to doing all these things and then they show up for none. So when you're kind of creating these extracurricular activities to create connection, realize that, and this is why we said don't do them all, because you're gonna mess people up and they're just gonna be like, I'm sorry, there's a panel for this, there's a Q&A session for that, there's a hot seat for this, there's this for that. Like I can't. Pull it back a bit and focus on the things that are actually going to make a difference. And quite honestly, it's going to be trial and error. Like Allison said, she's going to go and do something, and she's going to go. This is why I love Allison. She goes and she gets creative and she goes and does something fun, and then she reports back. And sometimes they work, and other times they don't. But she's more adventurous. But you're more adventurous that way, and I commend you for being that. And sometimes I have to pull you back because some of your ideas are crazy fun. But for the most part, you have awesome, cool, fun things to try.
We've talked a lot about why you should build your email list.